Always puts a smile on my face. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. Thanks a lot for joining us. We're here. There's a bunch of you getting ready, getting comfy. And we're here on a Friday night again. I've got my guests locked and loaded this time, unlike last week when I was twisting in the wind in agony, flying solo. Of course, I'm Quinny. I'm joined as ever by Charlie Dunbar and Big Bright Ace. Good to see you guys.
Hello, good evening. There's a lock-in Scotland. It's been wild weather, and I'm into the emergency Christmas Budweiser that was lying in the bottom of the fridge. So it's not going to be too drunk one. Let's hope the Celtic game's on tomorrow. But good evening, guys.
Good to see you, mate. Charlie, how are you, buddy?
I'm good. Is my mic okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Huh? Yeah, I think I had an issue. I sorted it. Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, exciting midweek, which was hard. So yeah, excited for the weekend and next midweek, hopefully. Yeah.
Well, I know it was an exciting midweek for me and McBride, certainly, but how was it exciting for you, Charlie? What did you have going on?
I had the majority Monaco team, which did pretty well against Villa. So managed to finish 7th in the Champions League Classic thing. I got a Bryce Samba, which is quite nice in season. So.
Geez, Charlie, love that.
In the wrap bar and everything.
Love it.
So yeah,
ready to go, Samba. So you need a Kyogo now.
Oh crap!
I've got about 500 I can sell you.
You can have them. You can keep them, honestly.
I think Kyogo could do all right in France. I'm not joking. I think he could turn out all right. Fist bumps to everyone. Good to see you all.
Yeah.
I don't see it, but I think the issue is is he going to get if you could dream an ideal scenario for any player, it's probably at Celtic. So taking them out at Celtic is possibly an issue for the AA especially.
Well, I think for him, he definitely doesn't do well against like a whole team in the 18-yard box. You know, no one's going to play like that against Rennes. You know, so he'll have space to run. He'll look like a different. I don't know. Just maybe it's just the bias, you know. But I've got a feeling he'll go there and he'll have space to run, you know, and he'll just be trying to get in that World Cup squad or whatever the reason is he's went there. I've got a feeling he'll do good. Happy to have mine. Maybe not for McBride.
They're not doing very well, Ren, are they? But I think you're right. Like it could suit him a wee bit more for a tactical point of view. That because the reason he's not really had any AA is because a lot of the games he's not like many touches of the ball. So I think that spell where Haaland was totally isolated and he just done nothing for games. I remember he was smashing up FPL and then he went like 5 or 6 games without really doing anything, which is unusual for him. So it's kind of a wee bit of a similar story. But I looked at it earlier. He scored, I think, 10 goals in the league this season. He's got 17 big chances missed. He's not really been that clinical either. But if he's said a few months ago that he's wanting to leave, then I think maybe his head's been on other things. So it could work out if he, because we know how good he is. But he's not going to a great team. So there we go. He's away now. He's dead to me anyway. That's getting taken down in about an hour's time. And I'm looking. I'm all joking.
Yeah, I think
that
was a surprise in that it came out that he's been desperate to leave for months, which was it seemed a surprise to everyone, didn't it? Really?
Yeah.
Kind of like I think you said, McBride kind of explains his form over the past few months that he's been a bit of a mess.
I'm surprised it's January. I don't know about you, Quinny, but I just didn't think we'd sell him in January. But then we signed him for like 5 million euros or something like that, 5 million quid, and we're getting like 10. So to do that with a guy that's now turning 30 or whatever's pretty good. You know, if you get loads of transfers like that, you'd be delighted, wouldn't you? So
yeah, I
do you think it's a bit of a risk? Sorry, do you think it's a bit of a risk given how bang average Eder is to get rid of your main number 9 in January?
I don't think domestically it's much of a risk.
Domestically,
really.
You're all right, really. But
yeah, because that's the saving grace for our strikers, especially when we've had guys like Ida and Hooper and Stokes, and just these are guys that just will never. This is the pinnacle of their career, probably. Is that they're still going to score against Ross County and shit for the most part, you know. But is it a risk for we're going to have 2 more Champions League games to go? I would say it would be a risk. Rodgers got quoted today in the press conference saying Jota's not the Kyogo replacement. Maeda's not playing through the middle, guaranteed. We want an hour striker. And there was proper questions, directly chatting about that, you know. So Maeda might play through the middle. He never ruled it out or anything. He said Maeda's played through the middle twice for me and he's scored 5 goals. You know, so Roger's already taking a wee bit of advanced credit, maybe, in case that happens. But I think we'll get another striker for sure.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I think that there was a rumour just like 30 seconds before we come on that Tierney's been registered now, so there's kind of rumours heating up that he's going to be in this window. So like if Celtic got Furuhashi out and got Tierney in this window, Valet, Como, Jota in for the wing position and brought in a striker, everybody at Celtic would be
Good
absolutely
window, definitely, isn't it?
So
Absolutely fine.
let's see. Still next week and then a day or two to go, isn't there? So it's ages in Celtic terms. We're usually used to sitting about in the last day and people are driving up the drive at Celtic Way at 11 o'clock and it's the lights are on and everything. So that's get ages.
You're like, who's this guy, Skepovic or Amido Balde or Pookie or these random guys you've never heard of? Like, who the hell is this? Why are we buying them? But I think me and you, McBride, may have just kicked in a wee bit of muscle reflex there. It's also been a big week for us. Also, Celtic here last night chatting about all this stuff. It's not quite Celtic time, but it is certainly Sorare time. Fist bump to everyone on arrival. There's lots of you joining us live and loud. Don't forget to hit the like button, get yourself comfy, and just try and support the show if you possibly can. About 30 minutes after the deadline show, it was bang on 30 minutes after the deadline show ended, we had a new wee special events calendar, lads, and we were just chewing this over before we came on for tonight. There's a few topics, maybe a few points of contention, but there's certainly a lot to feast the eyes on. Game week 50, which is the weekend after all the Champions League stuff, if memory serves me right, is it's got a funky cherry-picked match, kind of special weekly thing on the go here amongst what's it called, the Super Clashes special event. Do you know the really funny thing about this, right? Is see, after the deadline show, me and Harry were just sitting talking about whatever me and Harry talk about at the end of the show and whatever, and we were chatting about MLS and like specials, like things they might do like to push MLS like across the year. And I said to Harry, it literally like 3:29 or something, and we had a wee minute chat about it. It's like the only thing MLS really organizes is Rivals Weekend, when they have like Seattle versus Portland and New York on New York and all that. They line their fixtures up for it. And then like a minute later, this came out, and then me and Harry read it together. And this was like the first thing, and it was like, you know, Marseille, Lyon, City, Arsenal, and it's like, oh, there you go. Right, it's basically Rivals Weekend, isn't it? But when you look at it a bit closer, it's not totally that, but there's certainly a bit of it with AC Inter and one or two others. Ex-Feyenoord.
5 cards needed as well, so that's like, it's kind of, oh yeah, we've had a good neon special, so, but yeah, I understand it, like, you know, they're trying to find ways to like keep bringing demand to in-season cards or sell the end of the supply or whatever, so that's what it is. But yeah, that'll be a fun weekend, and also specialist rules as well, isn't it? So it's not like you can just pick like, you know, one team and just whack out 5 Club Brugge guys, and if they beat Antwerp, then you've won the whole competition. You're going to have to spread it across all those different games. So a good idea, I think, to be honest. But
yeah, the only thing I would say, it seems very limiting to the point where, like, even if I'm sat there with a decent amount of Club Brugge players and a decent amount of Betis players, I'm still probably going to struggle to hit the specialist requirements and have 5 in season. I think it's a little bit tight from them in that sense. But I think a lot of people give Sorare like a bit of a bashing for like, oh, they're trying to make us buy cards. That is kind of the name of the game for them. Obviously, that's how they make the money. But I like stuff like this. But I think with a week's notice and the specialist requirements as well, it seemed a little bit tight for me personally.
It's probably the only thing they can do to try and just stop it being like all City stacks at the top or all Arsenal stacks. Whoever's going to dominate that match, is it will pan out. Because the matches are kind of even, aren't they? I suppose, but it just stops it being like a De Bruyne Odegaard fest, or you know, like maybe that kind of thing sneaking into it.
Is this just limited? Do you know?
Is it just limited? No, I think that's for each, isn't it?
Okay. I don't know.
I thought that was for each. It doesn't actually state it actually. Or am I losing it?
I tried to look and I couldn't find it. So
limited. You're right.
Fair enough.
Yeah, I suppose with the specialist thing, the problem with the neon thing, I wish I'd like kind of looked ahead of the fixtures and bought some of the over 60s guys. I ended up like paying like 20 quid for Hans Vanaken, and the guy had paid like a tenner for it the week before. But anyway, it was more choice to buy it at that stage. But The problem with the neon when you've got the under 45 averages and everything, like you give as much notice as you want, but you can't buy the under 45 guys until you see what the average is at that time, really, anyway, until the competition's open. So I suppose
we should know now, essentially, shouldn't we, for this weekend?
Yeah, I suppose we get it open, then it starts bringing a bit of demand, really, doesn't it?
Or does it become dodgy because there's a Champions League game week and then a Europa League game week? Does it become dodgy because of that, maybe? I don't know.
I think so, because the L15s and all that will update on Tuesday when the game week closes from the weekend. And then it'll be that L15 is what we need.
Okay.
Unless I think there was a point in the past where if you put the card in, then it would just lock, and if the L15 changed, it would still be okay. But I don't know because with the neon one, they deliberately didn't open the competition until like after the game week had opened, and then they opened it. So I think they actually waited to the last 15s had updated and then opened the competition. But like what you were saying, Charlie, about it's going to be a bit tight and you might need to buy some cards. Like that's kind of probably deliberate. But on the flip side of things, I know like the SPFL playing over Scotland, Christmas and everything, just being SPFL, because you're playing against like a restricted pool as well, $10,000 probably going to be quite good. Because like you're only playing these games, you're not playing against the whole of Europe or the whole of a region. You're only playing this stuff, and depending how they go, a lot of them will be pretty tight games, so could be a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. I've just checked it. It's not open yet, so that kind of makes sense when you said about the neon thing. And also, I remember with the neon special that came out, I think I saw Harry tweet like there's basically barely any entrants in it, and I think from that point, everyone, it was like a day or two before, maybe it was maybe on the Wednesday or something, everyone like slowly started scrambling to buy the limited neons and stuff like that. I think we might see a similar thing here, where we see, for example, I don't know, 1,000 prizes being given out, and you only see like 1,500 entrants, and then over the day or two before, you start seeing everyone quickly going to buy, trying to scout people and stuff like that. Whereas most people would say, no, it's not for me. I've not got 5 in seasons. You might start to see people go, oh, that could be a good quick flip on an investment and quite win a bit of cash quickly before it ends.
Yeah. Interesting little detail on this. I heard Laird mentioning it. I'm sure it was Laird anyway. Obviously, we don't have any in-season cards for Inter or Roma. So the Italian one's a kind of a little funny one where you're kind of taking AC versus Napoli, but they're not actually playing each other. And as Mikey Basson adds into this as well, because we do have those specialist requirements on, obviously extra super stops people just stacking a team because you can, so it does really need to be a proper Sorare lineup, different faces from different places and all that kind of jazz. So with it being limited, there's probably a good degree of people just scout this competition, I think, and like you say, a wee bit closer to the time when you get that sniff of, oh, that guy's L15's 49, so he's my guy for the 1 under 50 I need, and get a few 59 guys in a 60 pluser.
I think the last fixture on there looks a little bit out of place. Maybe it's trying to sell a few cards that maybe just came out.
The Boca, yeah. I'd agree with that. But yeah, so that's something, that's good fun. And then we had the Argentina, the J and the K thing come out. Now, I didn't really think too much into this, right? But again, I was showing you guys before we came on. I had put a wee post out retweeting their announcement for this, saying, we'll chat about this stuff live tonight when we go on. And Callum, thanks very much for the intel. Callum was highlighting the difference between the J and the K and the Argentina one, obviously, that we had here, but also compared it to what J and K got last year. And again, like I was saying to you guys when we came on, McBride, when I seen that message, I had quick flashback memories to you rinsing it with K-League in-season cards last year after we had all the announcement stuff that we basically just had this time, but this time last year, of we're going to go to divisions and we're going to do in-season and classic and all that stuff had been announced, and you jumped right into the deep end and there was a lot of cash on offer and you did really well out of it.
Yeah, I really like the specials, but I think I have actually run pretty well because that one and also the sort of SPFL one, Celtic had good fixtures as well. I think it was slightly different last year because I think there was I can't remember which one was first. I think it was probably the K-League one was first and everybody was buying the K-League players. And then, we knew the J-League one was going to be later on, but we didn't know exactly when. So I was kind of doing a bit of both because I was like, whilst I do this, I'm going to prepare for that because I can see that the players can up value. I think what they did was it was over 2 weekends last year, and it was like 50,000 per league, so it was over more weekends. So the actual amount per weekend is pretty similar, but obviously the guys have been grouped together. But I mean, I'm really not that bothered about it. Like, you know, they haven't launched any early access yet. They've told us in advance that K-League and J-League was coming back. They said in that they were hoping to get the Argentinian cards out soon. And before you kick a ball and buy a single player, you know how much that value of the special is. So it's not been done in a way that's underhand, where they've launched the early access and said, oh, by the way, it was 100,000 last year. Now it's only 25,000. It's been nice and transparent. So I'm not that bothered about it myself, but obviously if you're a big aficionado of the Liga or whatever, then you would rather it was 100,000 rather than 25. But everybody knows about it before they buy a card anyway. So
yeah, agreed.
Yeah, I like the Scottish one when it was on, and it does make you appreciate a little league-specific special weekly when you've got so we're also going to have River Plate and Boca cards getting swept up as well as the other ones, Velez and I think a few minnows. I forget who it is off the top of my head. And with J and K, when they came out, people will be doing the same. And it's a lovely kind of introduction part to owning those cards, because it's a kind of like a free hit at trying to hit top 10, get a podium, something like that. But only having one of them, it's you either get into it or you don't, you know. So anyone going after those early auctions have a bit of that priced into it a wee bit, don't they, in a sense? So
got a thought, Quinny. I've got a thought, right? I can't remember who I was discussing this with. So you know how they've changed things to the XP, and they said on the podcast that one of the reasons they changed the XP is because there was no mechanism for somebody to catch up a wee bit later on. So now, obviously, under the new XP system, if you win XP, you can say, well, I'm going to apply that to a certain card, whereas previously it was this mad formula. But maybe with this being like less front-ended and with a new XP system, maybe they'll spread the cash more over the season, you know. So maybe they'll say we're going to run an R special later on, maybe in a weekend where there's no European games, but then it's people can still buy in, because if they buy in and they've got their XP rewards, they can say, right, I'm going to do a couple of level ups to this guy. We don't know how long the cooldown and everything's going to be, but that just kind of struck me when they were talking about that, because I don't know if I'm a huge fan of that, because I quite like the fact that if you buy the early cards, then you know you've got a bit of an advantage because they're the first cards. That's half of their value. But I wonder what they're thinking. It could just be that they just want to focus on the MLS, which, you know, would also be fine. But I don't know.
Well, do you know, on that note, I need to go and find the competition where I seen this in, because one thing I did notice that they spoke about, it must have been in the gameplay update, or was it this? I forget what it was now, but they have reintroduced somewhere. Yeah, they have reintroduced card scarcity for the Champions multiplex thing that we've got going on next week. So I went ahead to kind of like click in, you know, when the deadline flips. Oh, who could I put together or whatever, right? And I was looking at the multipliers, and I was like, why have all my rares get 20% on them? Where's that extra 10% came from?
Yeah.
So rare scarcity has a 10% boost, and then I think limited's got 0. Super rare's got something, and unique
Limited's 5, so it goes 5, 10,
5.
20. Is it 20 or 50 or whatever it is? The unique.
Yeah, but something like that. Yeah, it was 40. It was 40 at unique back in my day. And yeah, when you come down to limited, do you still see the effect?
Limited starts at 0,
No.
doesn't it? Yeah.
But do you see it for the limited, Schmeichel? No. Yeah, so it's a weird one. So I thought it was a weird thing for them to add in. And normally weird things that don't make sense later on. And you're like, that's why that came back. So rare, and again, this was probably part of the problem with why they couldn't do Rare Pro, or why they couldn't do Limited Pro, because there was no way to differentiate rares with limiteds. So is this maybe something that maybe steers us towards Rare Pro, but they try and make Rare Pro a limited based competition rather than a rare super rare kind of combo? Any thoughts on that?
I think one thing about the common mode, especially the mainly the best of Europe one, is that I quite like the sense of, maybe it just works for commons, but you pick your 5 commons and then you pick your guy at limited to like be your differential or your like upgrade or whatever. I don't think we'll ever see a rare pro or a limited pro come in, but we could see a 5 limited one rare sort of thing come in, whereas maybe a special or something like that, similar to how common works, but obviously just a +1 on scarcity.
Kickoff style.
Yeah, I quite like kickoff. Like I used to only have like a 5, 8 super rares, and I used to play kickoff quite a bit, and I quite enjoyed it. So
just crap prizes, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, but I think it is that bridge from scarcities that we kind of don't have now at all. Obviously, Pro was that for a while, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Somebody also said it was to do with that no card entry thing or whatever, so that they could whack people in there and just say you're not getting a bonus. It's like, so, but I don't know if that's just somebody just been ultra clever, because that thought never really crossed my mind. I'd forgotten all about that crap. But yeah, I mean, coming back to the current discussion, like if you had those sort of wee competitions where there was a one leg up, that would make sense. I mean, I quite like what they're doing with the Best of Europe one just now, where you know they're giving out some cash, but you know if you want to, you can put in the one limited. Like you messaged me, Quinn, and you're like, "Where's your limited card?" And I was like, "I can do a late swap here." And I went and I bought a Danny Caballos because
Shrewd move.
Well, yeah, because my middle stat had hit 87, and then I had Real Madrid to go, so I thought, well, £6, and you know I could win like $200 or whatever here, and I'm kind of feel as if I'm in the running. So I didn't win anything, so that was a stupid move. But I've got a Danny Ceballos now, and he's in my collection, and he's in some sort of team this weekend. So I guess that kind of shows how something like that can bring a bit of demand. Like it's kind of interesting one. I guess we'll come back to the timing of the locks under another discussion in about 2 minutes' time when you scroll down. So.
Well, that's the thing about that. Best of Europe is the late swap option that you've kind of got, and it was something that kind of went under my radar until this week. And we have another kind of solution to another potential solution to the DNP problem that Sorare seems to be wrestling with some of these new game modes and updates and whatever we've had. So we're going to have and they kind of told us in an update that they were going to do something like this for the final game of the Champions League, but now we have the full details for it. So it's going to be a fun Wednesday night where it's basically deadline happens half an hour before kickoff, and then the game week closes the next day at like 12 o'clock or whatever. I think this is actually later on, but as I look at the dates, this will be for later on. I think this must be the knockout stages.
Yes.
This is the details for the knockout one. Sorry, I've kind of got two things mixed up in my head there. But it'll be specialist based, which is interesting because there'll be a lot of clubs eliminated. Max entry, free, multi-entry free lineups. And a new collector event series. What do you think about this, McBride? I think this is going to be like me versus you versus all the other Celtic people, and like whoever does better in contender this week out of that collection wins something or whatever. That makes it sound kind of halfway competitive. But they're doing it with La Liga teams. I just did Celtic as an example, but yeah, did you see this yourself?
Well, I did, because obviously I've got Real Madrid, so the next thing I did was I went to that game weekend. Who are Real Madrid playing against Osasuna? So I was like, oh, that's not too bad. It's away from home, but you know, it's good that they're doing something. I think that's been under a really underdeveloped area of like what they're doing, because like, all right, you've got a wee leaderboard and you're top of the leaderboard, but really, do those wee cosmetic badges they're giving you just now for buying the celebration, does anybody really give a shit about any of that stuff? I mean, like I was like, by the time I opened the box, I was like, I bought an hour, I bought like Carter Vickers and I bought Kuhn, and it came up and said the box. I can't be asked opening this box. Like, why do I want a badge? Anyway, some people like stuff like that, so that's fine. But like, what I mean, the collector event is that if there's a proper link into like giving you good stuff, then that encourages people to want to be up near the top of the leaderboards. Maybe there'll be some sorts of surprises at some points as well, and then all of a sudden the leaderboards become competitive. And when it become competitive, that gives a bit of value for me to the cards. So, you know, let's see how they do it. But this apparently is like just the start of it, according to the podcast. So it's a good step in the right direction.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm getting shades of the. Did they do this for AC Milan or something? I'm pretty sure AC Milan played, and you needed like at least 2 AC Milan players or something like that one time.
Yeah, that was the thing.
I think it's something like that.
Yeah.
sort of thing. I do think it's quite a good solution. It just depends.
Yeah, so this feels like, from what you're saying, Charlie, like it might be like playing La Liga, but if you don't have three Real Madrid cards, you're not in this.
The issue I find is if you're, for example, like yourself, a Valencia collection, are you going to be up against Real Madrid? And then it kind of makes it like a bit redundant.
No, I'll be against other Valencia collectors. Like I finished 84th, and no one else with 3 Valencia cards finished any higher than me, so I win.
So how will
that work then? Are you just like, is it Valencia stack versus Valencia stack, or do you have to take them out of where you'd normally put them? Are you like essentially throwing away a lineup?
I think they're saying it's La Liga, so I think they'd probably want you in La Liga in season. That's my guess.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the minimum of which club wins. So like, no matter if you finish 50th, if you're the highest placed person with 2 Valencia cards, you win, sort of thing.
Yeah.
That's what I infer from it.
Makes sense,
yeah, so it's going to be 20 leaderboards.
But I think you need to be like a top collector.
Yeah, you'll have to be a top X% or have minimum 3% sort of thing, I would guess.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? IRL reward, permanent All-Star and fan faves throughout February. We get All-Star throughout the full month. And this is quite a fun calendar. When I seen it, by the way, I thought this is actually quite chunky for February, you know. Super Clashes, that kind of contrived one we spoke about earlier on, that's just kind of made up. Cap 250, Ultra Attacking, feels fun. All the kind of Euro stuff, the collector one, the Clean Sheet Special, 2 keepers, 3 defenders. That feels like a low head count entry, that one, doesn't it? Like how many people are going to play 2 keepers in that, you know? Very interesting, game strategy situation, won't it? More European champions, anti-stacks 270, Argentina special, cap 230. Doesn't that just feel barbaric, you know? And then K and J special.
I think that'll bring back the scout and the L15 zeros, a lot of that. And you'll have people playing silly amounts for a cheat code so they can get their Yamala, their Rafinha in up top or something like that.
For 230, you do need like a DNP, don't you? So I remember how hard 220 was, man.
Yeah. Also on that La Liga collector event, it's interesting that it seems the prizes are going to be like tickets or experiences, which might be a bit of a problem because a lot of people who have collections aren't from Spain. Is the one thing I would say.
Yeah, but if you know you're winning a VIP experience.
Yeah.
Yeah. It depends how VIP it is, but yeah.
Fair. I think it depends on the stadium.
Yeah.
Real Madrid and Barca will be up for it.
Yeah, definitely the Bernabeu.
Yeah.
Top Getafe collectors, but probably only too buzzing about it. Going to the Coliseum in the VIP section with a wee pie and a pint.
Get to meet David Sorare.
Do you know, I wouldn't mind meeting David Sorare. And do you know, again, I think I don't know any club on my Twitter timeline that posts training footage of their goalkeepers more than Getafe. Like, Sorare's always got a little training highlight reel going up before a big match and stuff like that. And I seen one today. I'm like, big man's going to do it, isn't he? He's going to keep a Quinny against Sociedad, but you just know it. That was it for this kind of announcement. But it was nice. Nice we kind of spring in the step coming out of January, moving into February, especially with all the other stuff that we've had going on with the the best of Europe and a few bits and pieces, obviously celebration cards and the actual celebration element of it all. Like, you can't open the card until they do a decisive or until the end of the season when it gets kind of forced upon you. So one of the things, I don't know if you guys caught the podcast that they did on their YouTube channel, but it certainly feels that one of the things that they're really striving for is like high volume, consistent comms. Like it feels like they want to be telling us stuff all the time. They want to be revealing stuff all the like calendars and updates, and I'm sure that'll probably die down to a period, but it certainly feels that a big thing from them is like, if you listen to the podcast, I'll find out your thoughts and feelings and if you did catch it or not. But from reading between the lines from like Nico and Dan and a few of the other ones, it feels like, maybe it's 2 hands on the wheel with communications, comms.
Yeah, I haven't caught it yet. I think I caught the first 5 minutes and then I got distracted by something else like an hour or two ago. So didn't manage to catch it all yet. But I think you do kind of get that sense of it feels like there's been an update or an announcement or a communication every 2-3 days the past couple of weeks on stuff, and whether it's celebration cards, neon, gameplay update, February calendar. It just seems it's a good sign, really.
I thought it was really good. I thought sometimes when there's changes made in your head, people can think from a cynical point of view as well. They're doing it because of that, or they're doing it for this reason. Like, actually just seeing somebody sit down and just actually discussing why they're making the changes is quite helpful, I think. Thought it came across quite well. It was quite professionally done. I would say it's already better than the McBride Ace YouTube channel, which wouldn't be hard, but I've done 300 videos. It's already better. So they've done a good job for a first podcast. But I thought it was great. And like, there was one wee bit, I think, where they said about Super Rare, and they said that it was to make it more sustainable. And then somebody went on to explain that it wasn't because of revenue. And I thought that just doesn't make any sense. Like, how can you say it's for sustainability, but then say it's not revenue driven? But the overall whole podcast theme and everything, I thought was really good. And even the wee video that Dan did when they put the announcement out, because what happens with a huge announcement is there's these huge blogs going out, and by the time you've read like 2 paragraphs of it, you start to get overwhelmed thinking about all the different things. So when you had that wee video and saying, here's the highlights, that was brilliant, because then that just introduced it and you thought, right, that's the headlines. And then you start to digest that, and then you can go into the individual stuff. So the comms has been a lot better, and Sorare should have an official YouTube channel. Like, you know,
use it.
Should. So
yeah, I agree. Yeah, I think that little snippet short by Dan is very good to just kind of give the highlights. Like, I think that should be a customary to every major update now. To just like, it's just needs, even the people that just come to do the lineups, some people that aren't massively engaged, don't watch loads of content, they can check the 2-minute short update and they kind of get a good grasp on everything that's going to change, sort of thing. But yeah, I agree with when you said about the Sorare making their own kind of stuff. Like, they should be making maybe at least like one of them sit down podcasts they did at least once of them a month, getting content creators on to discuss stuff like that. Like, they said they were going to come on a podcast and stuff talking about the latest update, but maybe I've not been watching the right podcast, but I haven't seen them come on anything by their own.
I don't think they said they were going to go out into the community. They've kind of said that before. It felt like they said, we will do this on the podcast. And then
maybe I misread.
Yeah, maybe I've misread it, but that was the way I kind of don't think they'd open, like, I hadn't messaged them or anything to say fancy coming over here, because I was thinking, like, is this going to be something they just handle? Because I've been speaking about doing their own stuff for a while, haven't they? One critique I would give them, for anyone that's not caught it yet, Charlie, when you come to it, maybe you'll agree, but they're one camera short. They've only got they've got 2 cameras and 2 mics. There's 3 people, so you've got like one camera that goes dead on Dan, and then one camera that's got all 3 of them, and then they've got 2 mics between 3 of them. It was always fine and everything, but just from like thinking about shots and all that, if you know what I mean, it was like either on Dan or it was on everyone. So when someone else was talking, you couldn't get the like shot on them, if you know what I mean. Because it was well cut together, well, you know, good edits and all that. Dan did the I'm going to click my fingers and the guest will be here, and you know, that kind of transition kind of edit and wee thing. So good effort. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Very chill as well. Background music. Don't know if you've caught that. It almost like I zoned out like the first time I was listening to it, because it was like so kind of quiet and chill, and I had to go, did I miss that? I had to go back and like re-listen to bits and stuff like that. So it was just very chill, very mellow. It's quite easy to just quickly get distracted, because they spent a lot of time talking about XP, the change of going from 20 levels to 10 levels, and I was thinking, nobody needs to hear all this.
Yeah, like, it doesn't seem like a biggie. I feel like they made a biggie.
I don't think anyone is
like, no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
I thought it was, but I mean, I think that's a major change. Like,
really?
At the start of the season, you buy the very first card, and you buy the collection, and you're pretty much guaranteed to have one of the best XP cards for that player for that season, and that's it. There's no other way you can be usurped. And people always look at the first cards and go, that's crazy how much money they're paying for that, but they don't understand the value of when you get to that weekend. So you get to a weekend where Casper Schmeichel, Alistair Johnson, Cal McGregor, Nicholas Kuhn, Carter Vickers all have the best scores in Contender. If you've got the very first card of those, that's worth way more than all the rest of the cards because you're going to win. But if the other teams have run identical lineups, then they're going to be like 10th, 15th, 20th, and it's all dead top heavy. So that brings a lot of value to the first cards. So as soon as you start saying, oh, there's a way you can catch up here, and you might not have to buy the very first card in the first month. You can buy a card 2 months in, but at a certain point, you can just say, I'm just applying all my XP that I win to this specific lineup, and I'm going to catch up with McBride. Then that just fucks up the whole theory of value of what those cards are worth at the start. So I think what they're trying to do is they're trying to find a way to bring value to cards across the season, but that's a huge change if you buy collections.
I disagree on that slightly. I think, I still don't think you'll be able to catch up because, I don't think you'll be able to catch up because you still have that cooldown period to be talking about, and that I think once you apply a certain amount of XP, they'll just say, right, you're done for a week, sort of thing. And it's like it is now. You could apply your 3 level ups to try and catch up, but so can the person that bought the one of 100. So I think I understand what you're saying, but I think you'll be able to catch up as much as they could try and catch up. So you could still keep ahead by the same amount.
Yeah, but the way, I know you've not caught it, but the way Dan described it was to provide a mechanism so that people could catch up.
Yeah, I think it gives an opportunity for people to catch up. But I think if you got the one of, I think you could still be ahead if you want it. If you set your stall and go, right, I'm not going to let anyone catch me on XP. I think you could still keep that and not let anyone catch you.
You still do have the head start, don't you? I think part of the catch up is like if you buy halfway through the season, and
you
like,
can make a bit up, sort of thing.
Yeah, you can catch up a bit. You know, you're not like catching up. You know, it's like I'm not 15% behind everyone. I'm 8% behind. You know, kind of thing.
Yeah,
but we do have in season the Penfez joining us. Good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I haven't been in the pod I was recording, but just catching up on a little bit of here. One of the things that has actually deterred me from buying recently is the fact that I know if I do go and get this Bayern stack, because I've already got a few pieces of it, or finish off the Real Madrid rare collection, I'm just miles behind people. And so it means you almost have to go in for like 2 collections and, you know, Barcelona and Real Madrid, and hope that you've got a different 5 to everybody else while still having premium scorers. And it's just a bit more impactful on the wallet, but gives you that opportunity to win, which is exactly how I won with the Rangers and Celtic mix a couple of weeks ago when I won that tournament. It was because nobody had that 5. I checked like all of the lineups, like 100 lineups just to see, and nobody had it. And so it's fair enough at like classic level, but at in-season level, I think so rare. Maybe that's why they've like sold so many of the cards now, because they just predicted this would be a situation where it's like people just won't want to buy cards now. So let's just get rid of them all as quick as possible. But yeah, I think for next season, if I'm even like 3 months late into a collection or a tournament or something, I will probably delay for the rest of the whole year on that tournament and go again the next year. Because that, like, if I buy a Celtic stack now, I'm never going to compete with you guys. I've got no chance. You know, like what's the point of me buying it? It's a waste of time.
Yeah, I bought a Newcastle in-season stack about a month and a half ago, and I bought Tonali, Murphy, and Livramento, and then obviously the keeper. And I knew there's no point in me buying Bruno, Isak, and Hall because I'll never be able to win at all.
Yeah,
like
you've almost got to go for like the second tier players, haven't you? Yeah, like instead of Bruno, get Joe Linton and hope that Joe Linton outscores Bruno in that game, or instead of Isak, get Gordon's not really great, like Barnes maybe, because he's not like the premium one. I hope that Barnes like outscores on that game, which is a bit of a pain. Yeah.
Now I'm currently in Division 2, and I'm like, I got a Division 1 last week and I got relegated. I'm like, I can't compete with these guys anyway who run the full team stack. So I'm quite happy to just sit back in D2.
Saying that though, when the change comes and we're condensed into 3 divisions and we're getting essence in those spots, I think I actually would probably be a bit more inclined then to be like, yeah, let me go for a Celtic stack, because even though I can't compete with the top spots, I could just farm essence all day long.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a weird thing with divisions as well, where you needed like the best players to get up to the top division. But then you get to the top division with your Bayern stack and you hit all the best Bayern stacks and you were better to sell that and then start running like all the differentials. So I think they're maybe just trying to solve that a wee bit. But I was just the reason I was explaining it was just thought that they probably did have to explain that a wee bit, and they spent a wee bit of time on it, which was good. And I guess simplifying the XP system. The only thing I don't really get is like what's going to happen to like training and everything. Are you still going to get some passive XP? Is there any point having training? We'll just abolish it. Is it going to become a ball ache? In other words, you get to the end of the game week, you get all this XP. Obviously, I've got too many players. That's my problem. But like, am I going to be sitting down, like clicking like 500 buttons to decide what XP I apply to what player and stuff? So it might be better for smaller players, but it could be a bit of a ball ache situation if you're playing a lot of divisions. But maybe they just want people to be engaged. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the system that they put in now was supposed to like reduce the amount of time spent like on the game, so to speak, wasn't it? Because like lineups were a ball ache or whatever. But I started putting my lineups in today at about 12:05, and I didn't finish until deadline. And I'm like, 3 hours for lineups is insane. And it's like, you know, you go in, you put your lineups in, you're second guessing yourself and everything, and then news comes out that Gyökeres likely isn't gonna start, and if he does, he's only gonna get like 60 minutes. So I'm like, okay, let me take him out of the primary lineup, and then like it's like a domino effect. You swap one around, then you got to go and swap another around. And before you know it, I'm like, I might as well just redo them all, and I just deleted everything again and started again off of this one piece of news that comes out. And then I was watching your show, Quinny, and like you was dropping like little knowledge bombs here and there of like who's playing and who's not. I'm like, for fuck's sake, De Jong's not starting. Well, that's it. I've got to go and change all of my lineups with De Jong as my striker and like put him in like the secondary lineups and stuff. And it is a full-time job, like for when you've got like the gallery of your size, McBride specifically, but even just for people that have got like 3 or 4 lineups or whatever, like getting that information. It's difficult, isn't it? It's like stay on top of who's injured, who's not. Like, you know, I tweeted today, McBride, you responded to me, like, which was nice because I hadn't got a clue what's happening up there about like the weather and the storm up north. Like, how is that going to impact the fixtures? Is Liverpool going to be delayed again? Like, because if they're delayed, like I'm out of Division 1 in like 7 different lineups. It's going to be an absolute pain. And then it turns out that after the deadline, Celtic might not be playing tomorrow because their stadium's taken a bit of a hit from the storm. And it's like, for fuck's sake, that's like 3 lineups just completely kiboshed straight away. And it's not that the lineup dies, I don't mind that, but it's like the cards that are in those lineups that aren't Celtic cards are so good that it's like almost like what a waste of money. I'm like, well, let me sell them, man, because you know, if I can't use this card in a lineup, or if it gets relegated with a card this good, what do I even have it for? So yes, it's time consuming, isn't it? It's time consuming.
Both of their own locks, then like I guess it would. In a way, it would maybe solve that situation, but I don't think you'll solve this situation because I don't think I could actually make lineups for those specific lineups because I don't really have anybody else. I'm so Celtic focused. But like the point about all the time you've spent on that, and then what I was saying earlier is if you have to decide what card you want to apply the individual XP to, then you've got like an R50 decisions to make. And then if you get to the weekend and the wife says, you're a dick, I've not seen you for a few nights, going to spend some time with me and going to spend some time with the wee man. What are you doing? You on Quinny's show again? Like, who's this? Are you having an affair? And then tomorrow the deadline comes out and you're in the middle of a conversation of a cup of tea going, fuck, shut up, I'm going to have to change my lineup because such and such is not starting. Like, and then you've got that like 50 times a weekend where you're like, I need to make my swap and hang on, I'm going to have to like you. Honestly, by the end of the weekend, your head will be exploding and you'll know what to play it. So I think for the Champions League competition or whatever, like a one-off competition or a World Cup or something, that's fine. But honestly, I think if they brought in a form of rolling locks for these big weekends, people would just tell them to fuck. I would be right on the point of saying, look, it's just not worth my time anymore to do that. Like,
isn't it better the way you sell format is though, because you know the lineups of everything, so you just like easily pick who you want. Like I actually think that this is a tester for maybe going into this a little bit more, especially on like match days where everyone plays at the same time, which admittedly isn't very often, but you know, sometimes like Boxing Day is pretty good for it. The last day of the season for the Premier League would be another massive one where it's like, okay, guys, we've got, you know, a $50,000 prize pool for this, and you'll know who's starting. I reckon you could see a lot of market movement on like reserves and split part players all of a sudden are starting. So you're going to be like, all right, let me go and get this, like, this guy that never ever plays, but all of a sudden is going to be guaranteed to start for like City. If City have got Ipswich on the last day of the season and, they're, what's that night? Like, what's his name? Simpson Gousset starts for sure. All of a sudden you're going to see his price like absolutely spike. Like I like that a little bit more than I don't like it in terms of having to be there constantly. I'm really looking forward to this Champions League like midweek because I've got a lot of cards that are always like if he starts, he's going to bang, but he's not guaranteed to start. And now I'm going to know, and I'm like, yeah, I feel confident. I feel like I'm going to win. I feel like I'm going to win at least something. And I really like the way they're doing the prize pool. Just hit a certain points total, and you're guaranteed a portion of the prize. Like, I really hope everyone is shit, so that I just win loads. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I like the roll and lock element of like if it was like the first game in the region starting. Obviously, this instance we've got everyone kicking off at the same time, but if this was like Champion Euro, you're kind of then given the deadline to 12:30 Saturday or Friday night, depends on a game. But Bundesliga could still be open if the Friday game was a La Liga game, for example, or so on and so forth. I don't mind that because it can just give you that wee bit of extra chance. Like, as much as I love the deadline show, we all have, I think, a wee bit of the drama that goes on back there. Like, some people just don't have Friday afternoon, like you say, to have 3 hours to set the lineup. Maybe people want to get home from their work and then have their dinner, and then maybe that's what they do instead of doom scrolling on a Friday night now, or whatever. Build some Sorare teams for the Saturday or whatever. So I don't mind a bit of evolution on it, but I think, have you seen the best of Europe thing, the Penfez, where you can do what do you call it, late swaps, where you can go in and edit your team through the game week? Have you seen that?
I haven't. Must miss that.
So it's like the common mode. I can maybe show you because I've got a team in it this week. It might be good visually next to the game week's live. But they kind of rolled this in a week or two ago, and it came under my radar because I only play with it normally on like the beginner, like the Road to Glory, Zero to Hero stuff.
Yeah, that's massively gone under my radar.
But
I did notice this week. Actually, the commons.
So you can swap them. You can swap them all until they play, and as soon as they play, they're locked.
Interesting. Is this now though? The commons get. Oh wait, you've got 0%. I had negative 50% on my commons today.
Interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting. Yeah, but how much better is that? I think a lot of people would be unhappy with it, but I think more people would be happier with it if this was the state of the tournaments, just generally speaking. Like, until your player plays, you could just swap them freely as you want. And even if that means that the lineups are in, they're locked in, and they didn't play, that's too bad. You've missed out. You still get that DMP. But if some late news comes in and you're like, oh, Bruno Guimaraes has stubbed a toe, he's out this week, you get him out, you get him gone. You put somebody else in, or like a transfer's happened and you're like, I don't want that player now because he's moved, or I do want this player now because he's moved. Or for example, you get some kind of like form news, like Man City say, okay, Kevin De Bruyne is injured this week, so for a fact that the other midfield position is going to play the spot. So then all of a sudden you can make that change, and it like enhance your lineup, and it will do something that a lot of people dislike, which is it will inflate scores a lot. And then you'll hear people complain, oh man, you need like 500 points just to get like a box these days. But everyone will be in the same like ecosystem. So it's not like some people have an advantage. The only advantage then will be having more cards, which is great for Sorare because it means people will need to buy more cards, which is great for us because it means Sorare got more money, and then we get more prizes. So for people that complain, like have the time, I think it'd be a really good system. And then you obviously get the people that complain that, oh, I didn't know, I didn't have the time, I couldn't, like, wasn't at my computer, I was at work or whatever, or out with the family, out with the kids, I couldn't make the change. But you wouldn't have been able to make the change either if it had locked at 3 p.m. on the Friday, so it doesn't really make any difference.
I think you're just starting at a massive disadvantage though. Like, so for example, say they say they're going to do this for the MLS comp, I wouldn't buy MLS cards, because if the MLS games are on at 3 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday night, and I buy my MLS cards, but everybody's sitting there in America at that point and they're refining their lineups and I'm sleeping, then that puts me at a disadvantage. So I just wouldn't play that region. Now maybe they would just say, well, we don't really care about that, so that's okay. But I just think, like, actually there'd be a lot of people that would be excluded because they can't be around at the point where the game's on.
Do you not think that even if you even in this current system, if you get a DMP, you already lose. So does it matter that other people had the chance to refine theirs and you didn't, if you would have already lost anyway because it was locked?
Yeah, but you can, like, under this system, so like for example, under this system, what you could do is you could say, right, PSV are playing the Friday night. If PSV say drew and they were expected to win 5-0, you could go and buy more players and then put them into the lineup.
Yeah.
So like it's a totally different system, because the idea behind this lock is, okay, it might be on a Friday afternoon and people might be working or whatever, but at the moment, usually I make sure I've got half an hour at that point, because I know that that's the deadline. That's when I need to work towards. Okay. Whereas with this, what would happen then is you've got all these rolling different deadlines. I think where it would be quite difficult is because you do have 3 entries per division.
Yeah.
So people have got so many different teams. So I look at my Sorare data, and even some of the smaller weekends, maybe say 15 or 20 teams, and that's teams, and then you've got all the teams out with that. And then if I got my sofa score notifications on, my head's ready to explode, because you're talking about 40 or 50 games of football. So it just be a point, I think, where like it's so intensive that, okay, it might be more convenient, but it would like more like make you want to focus on, like I would just want to say, like, why don't I just focus on Celtic? You know, because I can guarantee that I'll always be there for a Celtic game. I could be in Timbuktu and I would be sitting in front of a telly watching Celtic with internet access. I would switch my lineups on and I would know get 5 out of 5 and that'd be fine. That would make me want to do that more than playing like different regions and stuff like that.
Would that make you buy more Celtic cards?
I don't think that's actually physically possible.
But for somebody else though, if that was the case and they're like, okay, I'm a Man City fan or I'm a Liverpool fan, I'm actually going to buy more now because of the situation. Although that person then may not buy Contender or Challenger or Inter Miami cards or whatever, they then might be like, okay, I am going to go hard on the club that I love because I know that I've got some security and when I can set my line up.
Yeah, and they did that thing with the collecting bonus thing as well, so maybe that's the direction they're going in, because now it's like, well, okay, if you want to have 3 in-season Carter Vickers, then you're going to get the bonus on all 3 your cards, which, you know, people will say that's unfair or whatever, but like I think that if you're going to ask people to enter 3 times, then you can't just say you should just be entering 2 suboptimal lineups just because they've got the collecting bonus. Like if somebody wants to buy 2 Buscaglis and they can afford 2 Buscaglis, then okay. And then again, like, you know, Buscagli's amazing, but the weekend where Buscagli hits a 34 like he did or whatever midweek, then that's taking out like miles more teams. So you just adjust your strategy to that.
Yeah.
So a different dynamic, but it's just because of the way Sorare's been set up, and they're running so many competitions. They're running, you know, an all-star, they're running a special, they're running all the regions. They're asking you to enter 3 times each. And then if you did that, and then you have to keep making adjustments, it's going to be quite hard to manage. But I would get, from my point of view, the first thing I would do is I would stop playing limited, and I would work my way up from there. You know, like because limited I play mainly for fun. So if that was getting too overbearing, then I would, you know, start focusing on the higher scarcities. But
yeah, no, I like the change to collection bonus. Like, I'm sure for yourself and you, Quinny, as well. Like for me, the amount of Arsenal cards I've got like 4 David Rayas from the same collection. And yeah, on the weeks that he pops off, somebody will beat me on 3 of my 4 players because they've got the collection bonus as well and I don't. So that's a little bit unfair, as you say, as well, with like the multiple teams. And it's one of those things again where I think it will continue to make stars more admirable to win, because they'll have more value, because the bigger galleries will want to buy more than one of them now, instead of just getting, you know, a multitude of stars. Like, you know, instead of having an Mbappe, a Vinny, and a Yamal, it might be like 2 Mbappes and 2 Vinnies for that one person, because they can get the boost, which should, you know, like keep the floor of the stars up for sure, which is, I think, is good. I think it's positive from Sorare.
Yeah, I like that change.
One thing I was going to say on the rolling locks thing is Gaz's comment here, where you could, I think the thing everyone worries about with that rolling lock thing is maybe a wee bit of the being left by the wayside, but certainly the being victim of exploitation. You know, like you leave your power card who plays on Sunday, maybe even Monday night, you just leave him chilling on ice, you know, wait for the rest of the teams to kind of shake out. Where's that good goalkeeper? Where's that good captain? And then you wait towards the back end of the game week and you you maybe slide your power card on the Sunday, the Salah or whatever, into the fold. So I'm not really up for like the roll and lock thing being like just uninhibited, you know, just that's the rule for every position, every card, every division or whatever. I would like there to be some sort of, if there is something that gets introduced, like a limit maybe. I did like an idea, I think Laird was chatting about this earlier, but like in vein of the collection bonus thing, maybe you could only do it with somebody from the same squad. So like if you had Salah and you're subbing him out, it could only be for another Liverpool forward, for example, because then that values you having Darwin Núñez or whatever, the backups, whoever comes in for him.
It also protects the exploitation, doesn't it? Because it's like the only real reason you want a late swap is because somebody you thought would start has been injured or whatever. So yeah, if like Salah's all of a sudden ruled out and you know like Elliot or whatever is going to start instead of him, you're like, okay, let me just make that swap, but you have to have that collection piece. Yeah, I do. I like that. I like that as an idea.
Yeah, I think the main people everyone's like, including myself, is quite like pessimistic on it, is because I think the majority, like, it's great to say, oh yeah, you won't have DMPs anymore. You won't be able to take someone whose missus has had a kid or they've got the flu or something. But I think it will just be exploited like massively. You won't get people using it for, oh, the Liverpool guy called off, or he's got the illness, so I can just put a starter in. You'll get people who go, oh, Messi's 50-50 to play because he's on AstroTurf. I'm going to put him in a team. It's all right because I've got Vinny ready to go. Or I'm going to put Messi, Cucho, and I don't know, someone else in an MLS team. And then whoever scores the best, I've got the best defensive stack ready to sub into that best team. Whoever scores the best, let's play it later on in the week.
Full time somewhere.
So I won the playoff, so I was like, totally forgot. So apologies.
Playoff time for McBride on MFL. Love that.
As well.
I bought my first MFL team.
Oh, GG's. What'd you call it?
Yeah. I can't even remember, mate, to be honest. Hold on, let me go on there. Where is it? I called it. How do I see my club? Till I've not used MFL much. I bought. Yeah, I am. I had a call with that guy that you linked me with, McBride. He was fascinating to speak to. Isn't it hilarious that they're all based in like Paris as well? Like every crypto game is there. Yeah. But I'm kind of. I was like, I wasn't like you know, you guys speak about MFL and I've seen it here and there. And then when he was like talking me through the site, I was like, this is insane. Like the stats and like the historical data, because that's the sort of stuff I love. Like, you know, look at this guy that I, bought at 16 years old and now he's like 28 years old and he scored like 400 goals for me or whatever. That sort of stuff is like right up my street. I've got 6 players right now. I call it Prestige 26. And I need to figure out how to, I can't determine if I want to buy players or if I want to like give my players to somebody else. But then I look at my players and I'm like, they're so shit that nobody wants to sign these for the season. And so I was kind of like gearing myself up this weekend to spend a good few hours on it, kind of like scouting. I don't know when the next season starts, but I really want to get my team geared up to guarantee promotion. But I want to try and scout what everyone else has got so that I don't overpay for cards that are like way above my station and then just end up losing out on the, because I won't get enough of the points or whatever. But I started looking at the top league and, like Joe Bettman's in there and one of the other Sorare Wells is in there. And, man, they spend like thousands and thousands of dollars on a player. And I'm like, that's insane. Like, yeah, especially because what they're winning is just the MFL like token or coin or whatever. So you rely on other people in the ecosystem to want to buy what you pack in the first place, which I think is like an interesting aspect. But yeah, I was hooked on it, and I started watching loads of content, and of course, Quinny, like your content came up and stuff, and started watching a few bits and bobs here. And I was like, this weekend, either Saturday night or Sunday night, whenever my wife's like out having a drink or whatever, I'm just gonna spend the evening like hooked on the game. And yeah,
I think I'll manage your session.
Yeah, mate, it's good. Yeah. It's good, isn't it? It's good. I might, if you guys have got Discord for MFL, maybe you have to invite me into it because I might have to pick your brains on what to do and what not to do. More importantly,
yeah.
I think for Discord, you want that Rambo Discord. I think Monkey set up a good one.
Oh yeah.
for MFL stuff. That's the only Discord I've kind of. I'm not a big Discord guy.
Oh, no.
I know Monkey's got one, and that's kind of me. But
I think the other interesting thing is that like that was a discussion in MFL, right? Because at the moment you don't have to be around for the game. So like I actually missed the start of this game. It was like 20 minutes ago, and I'm just watching the replay because I've not got any in-game tactical like sort of decisions to make. So, and that's one of the reasons why they don't want to do that, because then what happens if the game's on at 8 o'clock and then you've got in-game tactical decisions to make, but you've got real life stuff to do at that point. So it's the whole like what's better and what's worse and finding the balance type thing, isn't it? So
yeah, for sure. Because I think like with MFL and with Sorare, it kind of marries in quite nicely to all this stuff. But with the best will in the world, like I can be the most ready person to do any of this stuff, like swap my team at the last minute, sit and watch a game like that when it kicks off. But life happens, and sometimes, like something happens, you just get taken out of the equation, or even just the time just disappears. And you're like, how the fuck is it 10? And where's my day went? And I think, that's the thing I think most people fear with the roll and lock element of it all, isn't it? Is just you get caught with your pants down, essentially, and everyone else is everyone else is like, "Where get up, you?" Rubbing your face in it. Somebody brought something up earlier, and I wanted to throw this back at you as well. I can't remember who it was or what it was we were chatting about specifically, but I've noticed this week, because of doing the live stream on a Wednesday where we're looking at all the transfers, and then with those celebration cards that came out, that there's still like no rares on the market, like ever, on auction especially, and instant buy is quite threadbare. They did mention in their podcast that super rares basically sold out. They're not far off that. I think it was maybe we were chatting about MLS and card stuff and all this, but it seriously does feel like in-season Europe is close to sold out at this stage, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think for the celebration stuff for me, I was actually really unenthused by it. Like, I really like the winter cards. I really like the cards with the special design and stuff. But these celebrations are like, oh, we've got to take your picture, but also can you do just like weird pose for another picture? And it's not like I was expecting like an in-game moment. Do you know what I mean? Like when they get there, it's about decisive. When they get their decisive, there's a snapshot of them celebrating that decisive as the thing on the card. That would have got me massively interested. But seeing them just standing there going, I don't give a shit about that. Like I really don't care. I don't think that was like so great. So yeah, I think for me, I'll probably pass on these celebration cards. I don't really want to pay the premium for some like edgy snapshot that probably in like a year or 18 months, people would be trying to sell them on like pennies on the dollar to get rid of them anyway. So I'll just pick them up then.
Yeah, I kind of agree.
Have you seen the Mbappe one?
I was about to say that. I think it looks like Mbappe is the only one who's actually, that looks kind of like out of a game.
Yeah, Mbappe's one's good.
Wrong, but everyone else seems to be static. Like
they
just said, do a pose kind of thing.
Oh yeah, and Mbappe's one's a proper
Yeah, I think that one's.
You guys remember they done the NBA ones, and it was like they done it from a weird angle, and one of the guys looked as if he was sitting down to do a shite. It was just like what the fuck? Like, I think there's some sort of legal reason, because I think if you're doing moments, like it's a different IP license or something. I don't know.
Okay.
I'm not an expert on image rights, but like I remember that with the NBA one, and like Spicer and stuff was coming out and go, what the fuck is this? And like I was like, guy looks as if he's hunkering down there. Look, that's just anyway. Like they've evolved a bit, but
yeah, that Mbappe one was him celebrating, wasn't it? That's more like I'd be interested in more of that. Like when Erdegaard got the camera and took the photo when he had like imagine that on your Sorare card, that'd be so sick.
Class, yeah.
Yeah, I
thought the Rice one was nice as well. Gaza says that in the chat, but I think Rice is like a stock photo for Sky Sports, isn't it, or something, rather than that Mbappe one. That Mbappe one for me is a top 10 card, top 5 card. I think that's
I was thinking, is the Mbappe one because they've got that partnership with Mbappe and they can use his image sort of thing, maybe?
Yeah, football friends.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Friends, we'll see John Nellis on a card next week.
He was he's doing something with Gareth Bale or something. He posted something else.
That was good. Did you see it?
I just seen him and Gareth Bale, and then I turned off X. So it's not offensive, John, and there's just like other stuff to do, but I didn't watch a video or anything. So
that was good. There's one of those blindfold and kidnap efforts. It was
Oh,
good.
wow.
Right. Fair enough. Moretti's an extra time here, by the way, in case you're saying, 99th minute, it's 0-0. Goalkeepers with 5 saves.
Going back to the auctions, I feel like they're done at Rare for most of the cards. The majority of the cards, they seem to be done. I'm surprised they actually have the stock to be able to go, here's a few celebration cards for a lot of them.
Yeah. Even today, I start getting a lot of unsolicited offers for some of my premium in-season cards. Like I had like 4 or 5 people offer for Dries Mertens, for Osimhen. I'm like, wait, what's happened? Like, has he got like a transfer or like what? Like, as announcement of contracts? But no, it's just people are like, I want Mertens, and there's none of them, so they're just chancing their luck. But they were like, they were offers that were like above. I'm like, damn, that's actually I might take that. Like, this is a really good deal because people want to pay
offer.
because you can't it's not like I've got him listed and I'm trying to flog him off. Somebody really wants this card, so they're obviously going out of their way to try and buy him off of somebody. And yeah, I think again it's one of the positive moves from Sorare. Like one of those moves where it's like, okay, we're actually in a healthy economy now. We've got a healthy market, especially for the top players, which is how it should be. And if they keep going down this route, there was some points in time where I'm like, oh fuck me, I've just like wasted $100 grand on Sorare and I'm never getting this back because this platform is dying. But this, like at the moment, it genuinely feels like, okay, this is a thriving platform. Okay, you can't win what you used to be able to win. You can't win like life-changing sums of money playing Sorare. But as a hobby and as something to kind of like maybe have like a stable income of a little bit here and there to kind of like facilitate other like ventures or other crypto games or whatever, it's a really, really good platform now. I'm really impressed with what they've done.
Yeah, definitely. There seems to be just no market movement on anything, no matter if they announce something or like, it seems healthy, to be honest. Like the only movement you see on prices is if they're doing good or if they're doing bad. Seems to be the case.
Which is how it should be, isn't it? Like based on their form or injuries or whatever. Like Saka crashed in price off his injury. I was furious, but
I bought loads of super rares. So after all my chat, I think the super rare changes are really good. Honestly, I think that it's not good if you prepared your strategy and you've got your kind of 2 classic cards and then you've got your 3 in-season cards. But there's a couple of bits about it I really like. Like, I thought about it in the context of unique. So one of the reasons I don't want to buy any unique is because 40% of that lineup I'm going to play against is all these maniacs and pranks and everything. They've got all their collection bonuses. They've got their historic Vinicius Juniors or whatever, and they're rolling out 2 classic cards that are maxed out. And then when you look at the lineups, that opens up a lot of combinations because 1 slot to 2 slots makes a big difference in terms of the amount of teams that can actually enter our competition. But like I've never really played Challenger in-season Super Rare, and I've bought 2 teams for that because I'm like, I didn't really want to go into that before because I'm playing against like all these guys who are going to have a Veerman and a Buscaglia and then 3 in-season cards or whatever. Whereas now I know I need 4, and like I feel as if I can have a go at it. And then they haven't really went too mental with the podiums, but they're paying out a long tail. And I looked at Challenger one, it's $70 for top 30. And I'm thinking, it's not going to be that hard to get top 30. But I'm picking up guys at Notch Island for like 80 quid and stuff and thinking, well, that's not going to be that hard to actually make that back. So it's worth buying.
For me, the interesting thing as well was the essence change. Again, of like knowing if you finish in this percentage, you're going to get like 10 essence or whatever. Because now you can have those like tier 2, tier 3 super rares and farm essence to get yourself a tier 1 or star and then sell it and cover off the cost over the course of the whole season. Like worst case scenario, you'll be able to get the essence to get a star as long as you can hold like when you've got it. Best case scenario, you finish that top 30% or even better and you get a bit of cash back and even better still. But yeah, I think for me, I was definitely like, okay, I might go an Arsenal in-season stack next season because if I could just farm the essence enough, it should pay itself off. What are you smirking at, Quinny? So you look.
No, I'm just listening to McBride in the old Super Rare chat. Is sent guys off the side there, and I think like the end season 4-1 move. It's not really one I've got much of an opinion on, so I've not even had a chance to get into end season Super Rare. But in terms of like the essence farming part, it was something that I definitely thought, oh, maybe that's a silver lining I can take out of this because it's a fixed amount of essence. It's not like, oh, you get 1 oh great, I scored a good week, got a box, and there's one essence in it. Cheers, Sorare. Which is fine. You've also got multi-entry, so you could maybe get a couple of those scoops. Like you could get a few of them if they don't have big scores in them. But until we see the leaderboard, I think it's maybe quite a narrow bandwidth, because it's like, I'm making the numbers up off the top of my head, but say it's from like 32nd to top 20%, it's 4 essence. How many entries are there? What are the scores like? It kind of does look like, and I can add the same thoughts, like, I could probably just find myself in there often enough to make it work. But if the top 20% turns out to only be, I don't know, just to make numbers up again, 55 people, top 55 is still kind of hard in a one big leaderboard with multi-entry in a region. It can still be even that super rare, especially at Classic, which is where I'm kind of facing all this. It may not be as easy. It depends on the numbers, which is a kind of hard one. And I'm also as well, Tristan has been in, I think he was in the deadline show asking this, and I think he's asked it at least twice in this one. So I want to just get a quick whip round. Schlotterbeck or Mittelstadt? Who are you taking?
Schlotterbeck.
I'd have said Schlotto.
I've got no idea. I don't know who they're playing. Like, just in general, or like this week?
General.
Schlotterbeck, yeah.
Schlotterbeck, full house. There you go, Tristan. Hate to see you suffering in silence there.
Yeah, Quinny, the other thing, like, see what you were saying about the essence and things, I think that paying out a long tail is really clever from their point of view as well, because it's a wee bit like a threshold, but you've got to beat a percentage of other players, but it's a bit like a threshold. So at Super Rare, although they're not actually putting in a threshold, it kind of sets a wee bit of a value for some of the lower down cards. Now, okay, if you're not playing in season, you might think that's not helping me, but if you turn over a tier 3 Super Rare in Classic for hitting a certain part of the leaderboard, and all of a sudden people are paying 80 quid for those cards rather than 30 or 40 quid.
Or 8 quid.
Or 8 quid. Don't go there for a few of those. But I mean, if it sets some value for some of the lower down stuff, then it does help us. It's not going to be miraculous or anything, but I mean, I noticed the difference straight away. Like, first and foremost, I actually started buying stuff that I hadn't really bought before. I went and I bought some extra contender in-season super rares because I thought I'm going to need some more. And rather than just getting Celtic guys, I started doing a bit of research and buying other guys. So it's bringing a wee bit of demand to the cards. When you go on and you look, and I said I need some challenger in-season super rare goalkeepers, I really struggled to get them. It took me over a week to get one in-season super rare goalkeeper. So they're obviously still quite scarce. So when you start bringing a wee bit of demand to them, it'll work out a lot better. But I think that if you're not playing, everybody thinks that the old side of things is better if you buy into super rare because cards are all cheap and stuff like that. But if you're going to put money into super rare, you're far better putting money into a 4-1 system than they are a 3-2 system.
Yeah. Yeah, the 3-2 system certainly turned me off of actually. I had quite a decent super rare gallery, especially for like MLS, and I had a lot of the Arsenal super rares that were now classic. But the buying three in seasons to then have like a Kai Havertz and a Declan Rice as my classics weren't good enough. So I would have also had to upgrade the classics. But if it was a 4-1 system, I'd have actually been like, actually, do you know what? Declan Rice is good enough on his own as a classic for me to go and buy 4 in seasons. And so I ended up selling most of my super rares. But now I'm like, I fucking wish I held on to them, because all of a sudden I wouldn't mind farming Premier League classic super rare next season with my Arsenal stack, and they're all gone. And I wish I spoke to that guy that I saw you tweet about today, McBride, that sold his whole fucking super rare gallery for about 400 quid with about $2,000 worth of players. I would have given him double that. Oh, I have no idea, but there was there was some like elite cards. He honestly must have sold it at like 10% of its actual value. It was insane.
Yeah, Nuno Mendes, Declan Rice. There was like so many like super. They were all classics, but he got sold 10 cards for 400 quid. And I was looking at a few of them. I thought I would almost pay 400 quid for one of them.
But yeah.
Bonkers head loss stuff. But you see what you showed there, Quinny, right? So champions are paying top 35, they're paying $100, but you need 4 in seasons. So I don't know how the stats will work, but there'll not be a lot of people in that competition just based on how many cards actually exist. So half of the people that are entering or whatever are going to get at least $100, right? So that's hopefully going to encourage.
It's hard to look at historical numbers because all the in-season champ are free in-seasons, so you can't even just look at the current iteration and go 3 divisions into one. It won't quite work like that, of course. So you're quite right. Top 35 is not too shabby. The Essence payout is 36, like fixed position to top 30%. And like you say, if there's not that many in it, don't know how many spots that might actually be. And then it's 30 to 50% gets XP. And I'm sure everyone's going to be buzzing to get that at the end of the game week. And then just looking at Champion again on the Classic, just as a kind of contemporary, there'll be a lot more people entering this. But yes, only top 20% that kind of Essence tail kind of sits on. And again, this was the thing I've been shouting in live streams all week, right? But see when people say super rare prizes in D3 and D2 are shit anyway. Well, the best thing you can get out of those divisions is a tier 2. It's the top thing you can get in Division 2. The top thing you can get in Division 3 is a tier 3. And do you know what? See, in the one master leaderboard, you need to get 10th to get a tier 3 with multi-entry against every fucker in Europe, So I don't think it really changes that element of it. You're not running the mill going to.
It doesn't, but like McBride says, all of a sudden there might be value in tier 4s and tier 5s because like it gives more value, doesn't it, now to kind of everything in there, because everything like you could have a couple of stars, a couple of tier 1s and a tier 3 that has a good fixture, that all of a sudden there's a little bit of demand for that card where there wasn't before. So now winning a tier 2 before might have only been worth 40 or 50 quid at super rare level, whereas now winning a tier 3 might be 80 or 100 quid because they're a regular star. Maybe they've got a good fixture. So
fair.
Yeah, I do think it has a net positive for the whole thing. And I was actually surprised there to see the lack of Essence. I thought it was 10 Essence for every scarcity, but I guess I was wrong.
Rare or limit. I think rare's 7 out of D1. And I think limited's 10.
Yeah, the Essence definitely turns me off of actually going into super rare a bit there, because my play would have been farming that to try and get a star by the end of the season to pay off all of the.
I was doing that maths.
Yeah,
you need to. I need 5 lineups to get in there. Then I'll get 20 a week, and then it's like, well, where is the band to get them in?
Yeah,
it might be like 7 spots.
Yeah.
Isn't much, but maybe more. But yeah, I've did that. Jumping around as well.
Some like auction credits in there because, I didn't actually realise it because it never showed up in Sorare data. But one of my Celtic teams midweek kind of hit the frame, but never got anything. On rewards, they had $150 worth of auction credits. I was delighted with that. I was quite happy with that. So I think if they find that it's too high a bar, because if you're somebody who's kind of there and maybe you'd like to add 1 or 2 wee cards in there, but you just don't quite have a big budget or whatever, 50% off your next buy could buy you somebody who could be quite useful. I mean, these Nordschleifer guys that I'm getting or whatever that are linked to Leipzig and Leeds and they're moving to Anderlecht and everything, they're like 100 quid ahead. So if you get like $30, $40 worth of auction credits and you get a guy like that for like 50 or 60 quid. So it's not outlandish, expensive to buy some of the guys. The 2 Challenger Super Rare in-season goalkeepers, because it's tail end of the season, were 300 quid each. So it's not like a high spend. I'm thinking I could literally run these 2 lineups and one podium pretty much pays off my whole spend. But if I do hit the frame and I hit 4 or 5 top 30s or whatever, then I'm going to start repaying a chunk of them already. So once people realise that, and once people realise how it's shaking out, obviously there'll be demand hopefully for in-season, and when there's demand for in-season and they pop off a wee bit, that in turn will help Classic a lot more than it might do in other scarcities, because obviously there's just so many cards. So
have you guys opened your rewards yet today?
Yeah,
I kind of have. Yeah,
when I claimed my rewards today, I was like, let me see what it says. It said I won $450. I was like, let's fucking go, because Sorare data said I had 136 quid in rewards. I was like, I must have got a decisive put in somewhere, but then it only put 130 quid into my wallet. I was like, well, I didn't record it or take a screenshot or anything because my rewards were a bit shit today. It's just a few boxes and that. But I was like, fuck me, you've done me in there. So I was wondering if you all had the same the same thing or not. But
no, I just got a few boxes, and similar to McBride, had a team that scraped into 30 quid of a cash win, and that was it. So I didn't have any kind of rug pulls on me like that, emotional roller coasters or anything. But I did see myself. This is part of the thing I was actually trying to string together with what we were chatting about. Right, is with the lack of rares, we're talking, and they've mentioned already, like super rares are almost basically sold out. It's actually getting kind of hard right now to spend the market credits I just won this week, because I'm looking around and it's like there's not actually any auctions for me to go and bid on. And when I go to instant buy, there's a few cards that I might be interested in, but the majority of them, their instant buy price is like
You've got to overpay,
here.
don't you? Yeah.
You know what I mean? So market credit is like where handy, super handy for me. Now I'm looking at it and I'm like, is this where I'm getting back into the Penfez's brain, and maybe I just try and sit on it for as long as I can.
Is that the reason they're kind of moving them out maybe towards the back end of the season?
Maybe.
So they are essentially getting rid of them out of rewards for the common mode. So maybe that's that plan every year. You get market credits first half of the year and then second half of the year, because they've not got cards to sell, they kind of phase them out, sort of thing.
Yeah, I definitely think after probably hearing me talk about it loads, saying I'm going to save like thousands of pounds of market credits just to get all the stars cheap as shit, they're probably like, oh fuck, got to get rid of that ASAP, because we don't want all that new money going, like, disappearing.
Yeah, I suppose that they restart every time you win one, so kind of encourages you to keep going as well. It's like an ongoing. It reminds me of like when you used to play on Sky Bet, and if you put on 20 quid of bets a week, they'd give you a fiver. Yeah,
I loved that.
Yeah, every week. So,
every Friday it came on. I loved it.
So like now,
Fiver Friday.
It restarts every time you win auction credits, but then I guess you have to have the luck or the miss or whatever. You don't know what boxes are going to come out of. But yeah, I mean they're just chucking out like Argentinian cards. Then there's going to be K-League cards, there's going to be J-League cards, there's going to be MLS cards and everything. So like, they'll probably want people that have spent all their money in EPL or whatever, they're winning some cash back to venture into those other divisions. Yeah. So we'll see if that's deliberate or whether they just cranked it up a wee bit at a certain point to keep the buys flowing.
Yeah, if you want to stay in the same region like me, but it's not really going to work. But I get you.
Yeah.
Because again, the market is just going to be flavoured now, isn't it? It will just be J and K that came out, then it'll be MLS, and that will just be. I think the Penfez, I've definitely heard you mention it in videos and stuff, but like they flush everything out. All the Europe stuff's gone. So then when the new stuff comes in, there's no competition on the market with like a Yamal card, taking the money away from the Messis or whatever. So yeah, it feels like it's very things that people forecasted is very much shaken out now, how they're behaving and how they're maximising themselves, which like you kind of mentioned earlier in the Penfez, it feels like a more, to paraphrase you, just a more grown up thing now. It's just like it's matured. It's like it knows what it is.
And it will piss people off, but it is for the better of the site as a whole, which if you genuinely love Sorare, that's great. If you was just on Sorare because you thought you could turn around a quick buck or, cash in on some crypto or whatever like that, like, yeah, you may be a bit frustrated and upset, but we want true fans playing this because that's what will keep it alive. And the positive sentiment of some random person coming on the site, having a great time and then telling their pals about it is what will drive Sorare and make it become that household brand that's still there in 10, 20 or 30 years time. Like for me, that's good. And it's really easy to forget because of how big Sorare got so quick and how much money was involved in Sorare. It's really easy to forget that they are effectively like a startup company. Do you know what I mean? Like they haven't got a fucking clue what they're doing. They're pioneers in the space. It's understandable that they're going to make mistakes consistently, and they probably still will because there's nothing like it out there. Like sometimes we have to give them a little bit of leeway on that.
Yeah, it's something I often remind myself of when it comes to that kind of big thinking on Sorare. Like when I found it in the first instance, because of all the football index stuff, I kind of realised like they'd fixed a problem before the problem had ever came up for them with all the blockchain stuff, the official licensing, scarcity of cards and whatever. And it feels like, and I heard Laird say something similar. I've said that about 10 times in this show. I'm sorry, but
just replay Laird's podcast instead. Like, I think
he said something to the tune of like, if they started it today, they would just start with the big leagues and then maybe they would work down the way a little bit. Whereas obviously they've had to do the total reverse. And it does feel that a lot of the game has been like the cart has been put before the horse, but it's not really been through design. It's just been by circumstance of the big leagues when they give them a shot. So they had to go and get the wee leagues, and they had the technology. That's what gave them the idea for the business rather than making a business to make money. It was like a tech-based innovation or whatever. So like, yeah, it's a weird one because like when you're building, not that I've built many businesses, or especially certainly not anything to this kind of level, but it's normally like get the customers first, make them happy, and then kind of make sure you don't piss them off the whole way through. Whereas with this, it's been make the game, customers come in, and it's just all been kind of trying to go at the same time, and it's just been a kind of like a kind of, I don't know what the word is I'm trying to say, but this is what's going on in my head. There's a bit of friction, you know, between the two. One wants one thing, one needs another, and it's just that kind of that balancing act in between times. So yeah, I definitely think there's a lot of good practices we've seen this season. And again, on top of what the Essence thing you guys were saying earlier, I think we all know that they kind of cocked up Essence this year. So those little numbers we've got, there's maybe still a bit of penance in them from the early season shenanigans, which gives me hope maybe next season they're just a wee bit more exciting.
Yeah, I think from what they said on the latest blog, they seem to have uncocked it up in the sense that I think this is along the lines of the numbers are sort of under control now to the point where we can increase it a bit. So I think next year we'll see more of a steady flow throughout the year rather than it going up and down or whatever.
Agreed.
Yeah,
I reckon
that's
they should do it.
the fixed thing as well, because like we don't know what's going to come out of the boxes. Just like we're going to give out 4, we're going to give out 5, we give out 6, and then you can't bugger up the calculations unless you're as bad at maths as me these days.
For sure.
And I think they should do this tournament they got now, the multiplex one with a cash prize for points. They should do that for Essence, shouldn't they? Put 1 million Essence in a prize pool. Be like
end of season blowout. You know,
everything that they've got left. Be like every card will go. This is what we've got left. Score 350 points or more and get your share. Imagine you get, oh damn, I've won like 7,500 Essence. Let's fucking go. It's party time. And then it's all contender. And you're like, fuck.
Just museums everywhere and taverniers.
Yeah, the brats become classic the next day. Yeah.
Furuhashi.
Yeah.
Furuhashi. That would be good. I like that. I like the thing I like the most about the multiplex when I kind of seen the thing for it when it came out. What it really, like, the Champions League is probably the best place for it. I know we've kind of spoke about it already, but I just love the fact that it's like 30 minutes before the games and like, all the games are kicking off together. And that's the one thing like I quite like about the best of Europe thing that they've kind of tried to do a little bit. Is it's kind of what Rivals I think they wanted it to be, but they need to get this into Sorare somewhere where we're all playing the same game, we're all playing with the same cards, and it's all like, get up your net, I finished 10th, you were 45th or whatever, and it actually means something, you know. It's not just like that throwaway common mode, or I didn't play Rivals this week, I don't care, I got relegated, and that kind of thing. So I think this multiplex, it just gives you that bit of a flavour for it, because everyone will have a bunch of commons going out, we'll all be picking the same kind of teams anyway, and for those matches, for that 2 hours, man, everyone's going to be plugged in and tuned into the matches, the scores, the leaderboard. It's going to be quality, I think.
Yeah, I think it'll be good.
Do you know what would be good, Quinny? Because I remember someone else done this. See, when you get to the last round of games in a season where they all kick off at the same time for no competitive advantage, you could make that like the finale. That would be absolutely insane. Because that's like, you do have games where like people rotate a bit because like they've got nothing to play for. But you'll be able to like actually pick out the lineup, you know. But all the games all start at the same time. So you imagine an EPL finale where you've got a relegation battle on at the same time, a Euro battle, and the league still would be won or whatever, like the Man City like weekend where Aguero scored or whatever. Like that would be like bring a lot of hype to the end of the season, where usually cards are kind of like dying a death, if you know what I mean, because there's no utility left. So
yeah, I think there's a real chance that happens now. It seems any chance they can get of, oh, everything's lined up nicely, we'll make the deadline later. Any chance they can do that, they seem to be wanting to do it at the moment.
It also, again, lends into having a collection, doesn't it? Because if you've got that B list player or whatever, you know, the guy that's just going to get his debut because why the fuck not, or the backup goalkeeper, because apparently on the last day of the season it's like customary to just give the guy that's never played a minute all season a chance at a game. You'll be sitting there be like, let's go, like finally, you know, this guy that I paid like 33p for 7 months ago is going to shine for me, only for him to concede 7 goals and get an error led to goal at the same time. But still, it's like you had the chance. You know what I mean? You knew he was going to play. It's great. Yeah, no, I'm all about it.
Yeah, with $1 million essence up for grabs and the split
Yeah.
jackpot
that'd
for
be
anyone
great.
that gets 500 points or whatever.
Well, like if with rares specifically, they're nearly at the end of the line, and with super rares they are as well. So if they did have like a last day thing of like, all right, we've got 150 limiteds of all the players left, 1 or 3 rares and 0-1 super rares, everything will be won. Setting that as a standard going forwards, yeah, it might crash the market a little bit on these cards, but it won't really, because there's already so many classics, and it's not like you get an in-season advantage. Maybe if you get a player that's in the Champions League final or the Europa League final, you get that one extra game. And then maybe if they do some like international tournaments that require in seasons, you get a little bit of extra flavor from it.
Club World Cup.
Yeah, Club World Cup as well, yeah. But wouldn't it be cool to just be like, right, we've got, 12 like Anthony Gordons left. They will be won in this weekend. Like they have to go. I think that would, again, it would change. It would definitely like, I think it would keep the price and the floor of these in seasons higher for longer, because you're not going to sell them. You're going to want that last day of the season bump of like, okay, I could fucking win something massive here, or lots of things here because I've still got my cards. I think it'd be good.
They did that before. What they did was, there was one season where they had old rules where you couldn't be rewarded if you hadn't played in the last 5 games. I remember the old rules where you would only win guys who were winning, and then they did a specific competition at the last month of the season, and they rewarded all of the star guys who they couldn't reward in the other competitions. They put out a list of it, and like, you'll laugh at this, but Anthony was in it, Man United Anthony, but he was selling for insane amounts. Ajax Anthony at that point, and he was selling for loads. So everybody was moaning that he wasn't in the pools because he was under 23s, and he was like selling for loads. So they did this competition where they said, right, X, Y, and Z, these guys, we can't throw them in the prize pool. And then there was another one they did for the last round of the season where they souped up the cap to 70, and they done like an enhanced prize pool, and they gave out more stars because they realised they had still had Euro supply left. And it was great because they called it like the golden cap to 70 or some shite. So, but it was a great competition. It was really good.
Yeah, I think
that's part of the fear with the end of season stuff, is that all the good prizes are gone.
Yeah.
But if you got that sense of, if they set that precedent of like end of season, everything must go kind of thing, that would be in the back of your head next year going into it, as like,
even
end
if
of
there's
year
like
is party
1
time.
or 2 Salahs left or 1 or 2 Haalands left, you'd be like, okay, score 400 points and you get a share of the cards, and then the stars that are given out to everyone that's randomly assigned. That'd be sick, wouldn't it? Imagine opening like a little pack of cards and you're like, fuck me, I got this guy, that guy, a couple of shitters, a good collection piece, and then a Salah pops up. You're like, let's go. But again, for the next season, it would set a precedent where people will be like, all right, these MLS cards, I'm actually going to buy when maybe as the season starts declining and people start selling off. You pick them up ready for that end of season ramp up of like, yeah, let me go hard on the back end of the season. Wow, we should all work for Sorare, guys. We'd be fucking brilliant at making the money, wouldn't we?
Yeah. We
Hope
could do worse.
Hope we're listening.
I wanted to put this one on, right, because they kind of touched on this a little bit when Nico was on the podcast. Can you see them renewing or removing any leagues, licenses, etc. in the future? And this week we had the introduction of Brøndby on top of recently added Nordisland. So Denmark is getting some attention. They've got a representative in the land of bacon now, which is cool for them. Argentina's came back, of course. But if you listen to the podcast, Nicholas said something that they have said before, but isn't often mentioned or brought up. But some of these leagues and partners have Sorare equity. You know, they are actual partners. They're not just like a deal. They sign a contract and we're in this for the next 3 years or whatever. So I don't know who that could be or whatever, but I would be surprised if EPL will definitely gonna have a chunky piece, aren't they? But I wouldn't be surprised if JK, MLS, some of these leagues maybe got a little piece of it, because when Sorare were signing those leagues up a long time ago, they might not have had too much to put across the bargaining table. So maybe some of those more rural leagues are maybe a bit safer than you think.
I don't think that they'll remove leagues. I think they would rather isolate them like they've done with Prem, Bundes, and like MLS and stuff, and then just offer like really low prize pools towards them. Like, could you imagine like, I don't know, a J League solo competition? I would love it, because it would be a lot easier to manage my gallery and know what's where and what not. but obviously nobody would want to play the J League for J League rewards. So like the cards would be significantly cheaper, but it'd be Sorare's way of still keeping the J League on, but kind of being like, see you later, guys. Like, you know, we don't actually want you here anymore, but you're still here. I would see that happen before I saw them drop leagues or whatever.
Yeah, I think with MLS going, maybe they thought they needed more cards to fill out the prize pools, and that's why they brought Brøndby or whoever they brought on. Yeah, I think.
Good point.
Yeah, I think maybe in Challenger they've only got full leagues. They've got Belgium and Netherlands, and they've got 4 Turkey. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like if you think about that to reward the full Challenger division, it is low. So maybe, I don't know, maybe they bring Championship on. Maybe they go deeper into Denmark or whatever they're trying to do. I don't know.
We all want Braga cards.
Yeah, Portugal as well. Yeah.
Could do with some Bragas.
I think Contender will stay as it is. I think they've got quite a deep pool there, to be honest. I think maybe
Contender's the bargain bin, isn't it?
Yeah, Challenger's the only region where you think maybe they could fill out a rest of a league, maybe, or get all of Portugal or something like that.
Well, MLS has got loads of teams, right? So it's a good thing that they've got that over the summer, because what they're kind of saying is MLS is the headline summer league. So they're doing these things like, we're going to do a 5-card beat the target and soup up the value of the cards or whatever. Who knows what the actual beat the target is. But like by moving like all those MLS teams out of Challenger, then it means that you can add some strategic teams. I mean, North Island, it's like, imagine if you'd added North Island way back at the point where you added, like, you know, years ago when you added Ajax and everything. It was all good. Everybody would have went nuts for those guys because it's just like an absolute talent factory. So I like, rather than like saying we're going to go for like a full league or whatever, I think they'll be quite tactical about it, and they'll say like, you know, we've got Midtjylland, we've got Brøndby, we've got North Island. They might go and add like Bodo Glimt or something, or, you know, then they could become a good contender summer team to add in with the K League and the J League and stuff. So I don't think they'll go too mad with it. I think they're going back to like quality over quantity type thing.
Yeah, I feel like it seems like they're kind of getting the value picks, if you know what I mean. So maybe I can't imagine they're paying much for the license of Brøndby or the license of Nordisland. Maybe they're getting their cheaper licenses to try, and they've still got good cards in. They've still probably got a star or two or tier ones or whatever to try and fill out the prize pool, but they're not paying much for the fee compared to, I imagine it'd be quite a lot to get a championship license or the full Portugal license or something like that.
I think ideally they'd want Sorare to be so big that, like, you know, J League and K League are like, can we just be on your side, please? Because like it's such good exposure for our league, like, you know, and almost all of a sudden leagues are paying Sorare to be like, hey, put us on there. We want to be part of like what you're building, because at that point it would make sense then to have the whole of the Danish league or the whole of the Swedish league and things like that, because it's at no cost to Sorare. They're profiting on every card they sell at that point.
Liga de Quito definitely played Sorare, did they not?
Mate, don't talk about that, man. Honestly, I've made some bad decisions on Sorare, but they were the worst. I've got the one of every rare card for Liga de Quito.
Nice.
Yeah. I overpaid massively, and I think now it's 6 of them are left at the club.
You see, when you've got your metaverse VR mansion, you'll have your own Liga de Quito like suite, you know, and you can paper the walls with them all, you know.
Yeah.
And then
do you know I bought them? Do you know I went for Liga de Quito? You know Alex Alvarado?
Yeah.
Mate, he was the best player on the platform for a long time. I then bought him, and I don't think he's hit a green score since in about a year and a half. And I'm not like, and I paid a lot of money to get his one of. And because I got his one of, I looked at the rest of Liga de Quito. I was like, okay, they've got a couple of actually like decent players. So I bought a few more of them, and I was like, I've committed so hard now to these one-offs that I end up buying them all. And the only player that's like served me well is their goalkeeper Dominguez. Like he's like always like top 10 goalkeeper on the platform when they're in season. And so he's actually won me like a hefty old amount. But yeah, the rest of them are absolute piles of crap.
Do you have the wee defender? The wee defender doing well recently, Ramirez. Have you got one of him?
Yeah, because he started playing winger. Yeah, Brian Ramirez. Yeah.
Was that why he's good?
Yeah,
he's a winger now.
Yeah, winger. So he gets all the like bonus points for like attempted assists and stuff. And then if they keep the clean sheet as well, he gets that extra points logged on. So yeah, he started picking up a whole bunch of points.
They do have quite a few guys that have won in good places. I think they've got someone at Hull, isn't it?
Yeah, Yeah, what's his
I forgot
name?
his name. He was quite good when he was there. I forgot his name.
Yeah, Zambrano. Because he was
Oscar
linked to Barcelona as well. But since a bit, he was like on the rap for like getting done for like doping and stuff.
All right.
It ended up not coming. Like it ended up not being true. But then he went to Hull, played like 4 games, and has never been seen since.
Yeah.
So it's like I don't know, like I don't know if he's like some dodgy geezer or what, but I think he's going to be another like Choupo-Moting kind of person where you'll see him at every big club in the world over the next 15 years, but he won't do well at any of them, and he's just money laundering. He's just the clubs just moving money between themselves, you know. Oh, is he actually banned for doping? Is he? There you go. So oh, he has been banned. There you go. Mate, Liga de Quito must be like, yes, we got rid of him just in time. Like, farmed him off to Hull for like 4 million quid or whatever, and then he got banned. That's class.
Sandro Tonali, AC Milan to Newcastle.
Yeah.
I looked chuffed about that. I remember when he signed, he just looked he looked raging. He's like, I'm going from Milan to like Newcastle, and he looked at like, his face. But anyway, maybe it was just because he was struggling a bit as well. I see under this like format, they almost wish like when they brought the EPL on, when that point where like actually it kind of dumped some of the value of the other cards on the platform, because a lot of people were like selling off to get English Premier League cards and things. Like if they'd have started this segregation a bit earlier, it might have worked better, because like when they added Brøndby, I thought that was good, whereas like if you'd have had the whole MLS and Challenger and they were adding Brøndby or adding other ones, you'd be going, that region's getting a bit bonkers, whereas now it looks as if there's a bit of room for them in the region. So segregating it out and keeping it more specific to leagues or specifically regions, or the kind of part of the region that's running in that season, keeps it nice and healthy. So I think that's working like miles better, to be honest.
One thing that came into my mind when Charlie mentioned that about them being tactical with it was, I felt like out of nowhere, purely for Endrick cards, they released Palmeiras. You know, like it just felt like that was up their sleeve, and I was like, right, this Endrick guy is real. He's actually going to Real Madrid. Get them out, you know. But we didn't get, who's the other guys that have come out of Palmeiras? We didn't get any cards for them.
Esteval,
Reese, the guy that just went to City, and there's another one.
The guy at West Ham, was it Luis Guilherme or something like that?
Yeah, Palmeiras guy. Well, he's away to Saudi now anyway.
But then they paid like 25 million for him or something, didn't they? Like he paid like a lot of money. And there was who's the other guy? Was it the guy that went to? I can't remember if the guy that went to Barcelona came from Palmeiras, so they're trying to sign him back.
Like the Rocky.
Did he come from Palmeiras, or did he come?
I don't know
from
where he came from.
Maybe Sao Paulo or something. But Palmeiras were trying to actually sign him. Now they've got a wad load of cash because Man City are buying their defenders and everything as well. But I did kind of seem as if I suspect what happened with that was they probably had like some sort of rights in Brazil, and like they just decided not, because like things, there was like too many clubs and the cards were going down and everything. They just thought, well, we're not going to go ahead with that, because if we start whacking out more cards, everybody's going to be. I remember that guy in Quinny, the update, the guy that put on the thing, and he was like, I want to know where your office is. You fucked me up. This is like the new go fuck. He's like, I just want to go over and square go now, Julia. So you imagine that guy would have been actually sitting in Paris, like at the new meeting up event next Wednesday, turning up with a baguette and trying to batter everybody with it.
It's probably one of the last things we need to kind of touch on. They teased it in their podcast, McBride, you just brought it up, but Sorare are doing IRL meetups. It's first one's in France or whatever, but maybe they'll be taking it to the shores of the United Kingdom. But they're doing a wee IRL Sorare meetup. I think it's in Paris, and it's for the multiplex competition. It's for the last game of the Champions League as well. Tickets are free, so if you're anywhere near the Paris area, feel free to find the link, click on, and RSVP for it. But they did tease this in the podcast. Do you think this is going to? Are we going to get the Sorare Roadshow? Is that what we're going to be getting? Do you think?
And you'd hope so. Maybe at some point. Obviously, makes more sense because they're based in Paris. And there's a lot of people over in Paris at the moment for all the NBA stuff and whatever they've got going on. But I think it makes sense on like even the last game of the Premier League season when they do something. Obviously, like just. Someone from Sorare, obviously it's difficult because they're in Paris, but someone from Sorare be there, give out a couple hoodies, a couple signed tops they've got left over or whatever. Yeah, makes sense. It's not like they're putting on a massive venue or anything and putting on a buffet and a free bar and stuff. It's just like, come meet if you're local sort of thing.
No free bar. I'm not going in.
So I was going to say, Charlie, don't let them off so lightly.
Definitely. When's the
But,
Scottish?
I think that's kind of all I've got, guys. I've kind of went through all the kind of wee things I had on my wee kind of hit sheet for what's kind of went on throughout the week or anything. Is there anything you guys fancied bringing up or anything we didn't really go over? We kind of moved past you or anything like that?
Nah, nothing on my radar.
Nice. Excellent. Well, I think all that's left to say, guys, at that point then is thanks for joining us, everyone. And good luck and go fuck everyone. Hope you have a good weekend. It's a good game week and we're ready for the last game of the Champions League next week. McBride, the Penfizz, Charlie, been an absolute pleasure, lads.
Thanks, Ravens.
Good luck and go fuck. I'm away to fix the Celtic roof now.